Hi, everybody. Mr. Caldwell here. Just wanted to spend a few minutes going over the English 9 first semester syllabus for you. This is what we're taking in this spring semester. So if you are new to the class and you've transferred in after we've gone over this is information that's important for you. If you are a parent or guardian seeing this, now you know exactly what I have talked to your child about during class. So during class, it'll be a little more in depth with this probably than we'll get at this. But you have the document here and you'll be able to see everything that I've talked about with your student. All this will be posted in Google Classroom as well, so they can access it. If you've got questions, you can see it or contact me. So Classroom is Jackson 188. And I think an important thing to understand is that my philosophy, Mark Wetmore is a former University of Colorado cross country coach, and he told his students and his athletes every year, "You be a young man or young woman of integrity, and I will take care of the rest." For my students, do what you're supposed to do. I will be very, very clear about my expectations. I will be very, very clear about the deadlines, not only telling them to you, but having them posted in Google Classroom and in PowerSchool. It will be very clear what is due when. Do those things. If you have questions, you have to ask me about them, but we'll talk about those things as we get to. Year and a half ago, I went through and actually was playing with some stuff with AI things, and I asked ChatGPT what are some of the most important skills that need to be developed that military, colleges, university, workforce, businesses are all looking for in graduates. And this is the list of things that they gave, and I think it really fits into what I'm trying to teach. And so I focus a lot of my philosophy of teaching around this. And so I'm going to go over these just real briefly as we get into more depth on some things. But trying to teach students critical thinking and problem solving. I'm not going to give you and hand you every single answer. There are some things that you're going to have to think about and be able to justify and go through those. And that ties into that second piece, the effective written and oral skills and communication. You've got to be able to understand how to write what you had to say, how to say those things, and to back up your opinion, not just go, because I said so. That's not enough. There's got to be things to back that up. Okay? Your time management and organization skills. Some of the things that I'm going to give you are going to be due in class. Some of them be due by midnight that night, or maybe sometime in the future, and you're going to have to balance your time and figure out how that fits. That's working on your time management, how you be organized on things. Some of the stuff you'll know far in advance. Some of it'll be a quick turnaround. You will have time to do that. You've got to use your time wisely, though. All right, self-motivation and personal responsibility. I'm not going to be on you every single moment of every single day. We're going to go through stuff. You're going to have the thing to work on, and you work on it. I'm not going to be walking around coming desk to desk and going, okay, show me what you're doing. Talk to me about this. Okay. I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be checking on you, but you need to have that motivation that you will get this done. You have to make the choice to complete the assignments, to do the work, to pass the class. That is your responsibility. My responsibility is to teach it to you, to share that information, to help you out. Your responsibility is to complete it. Okay? All right. Collaboration and teamwork. There will be some opportunities to do things in groups and learn how to do that because that's a real life skill. Information literacy and research skills, technology proficiency, making sure you're using the technology correctly. We'll talk later about how to use AI even effectively and efficiently in there and ethically. That's a big thing for it. Okay? Being adaptable and resilient. You had different teachers than me last semester. I'm a very, very different teacher than you've had before, just because I'm a different person. It's not good or bad. It's just different, and you've got to be able to adapt to that. Okay? Your quantitative and analytical skills, so doing research for things, there'll be some of that. Cultural competency and ethical reasoning, understanding some of the books that we're going to go through or the writing that we go through. Some of that you're going to view from a different standpoint than you are used to, and you've got to learn how to understand that. You don't always have to like it. You always have to accept it, but you've got to work with that and have an understanding of why people think and believe and act differently than you do. Okay? So not an indoctrination thing, an awareness piece. All right, so my classroom rules. quote, and I have a quote for every section in this, some of my philosophy of things. And in this case, my classroom rules, the right thing does not change just because you don't like it. These are the right things to do. Going to follow the CHS rules, the syllabus, what we're going through here, and some of the dates of things that may be updated as the need arises. If that happens, I will change it in here. I will change it in PowerSchool, Google Classroom. I will tell you about those things. I don't do pop quizzes. I don't do pop surprise, changes, things like that. Not going to happen. You'll know it's coming. Uh, Number three is a very, very important one to me. This one I actually took from Mr. Judd, former principal at the high school, was one of my teachers in high school, and had this philosophy that if you think something's been graded incorrectly, come and talk to me. If I made a mistake and it's in your favor, in other words, I graded it too low, I'll raise that score. Now, if I graded it too high, I'm not going to pull that back down to where it should be, unless I do something crazy like give you 100 points instead of 10. Okay. But if you were supposed to have an 89 and I gave you a 98, it's probably going to stay the same, or we'll talk about that and figure out how to reasonably make that adjustment that needs to be. But for the most part, those changes will be made in your favor and help you out for that. I'm human. I make mistakes. However, I don't know I've made that mistake unless you talk to me about it. So keep an eye on things. Use the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated. Kindness, respect, don't touch other people's things. No sleeping in class. Good hygiene. That was actually a student developed rule a few years ago when I did things with that. And that consistently came up that students wanted their peers to have good hygiene. I think that's a good idea. Okay, number 5, be prepared for class. Have your homework done. Have your Chromebook charged. Be on time. Be here. Okay? If you're struggling with things, you've got to talk to me about that. Okay? All right. Number 6, this is huge. Okay? I teach in a way that I do because it's designed to increase your level of personal responsibility and challenge you. That was from the very beginning up there of things that business and industry and employers and military and colleges, all those things are looking for across the board. They want you to have personal responsibility. They want you to be able to think. So that's the stuff that I'm going to do. Now, if you know that you're going to be absent at some point, there's a family vacation, there's a funeral, there is a field trip in another class. Talk to me about those things and let's figure those things out of how we can make those adjustments. I'm willing to work with you if I know what there is to work with. Okay. So tell me the things that I need to work around and we'll figure out a plan of how to do that. Okay. I keep things moving with work. I don't spend a whole class lecturing and then another class lecturing and finally get to an assignment eventually. I am more of one that's going to explain those things to you, send you in that right direction, guide you, and then we're going to work through some stuff and you're going to be doing things. Don't fall behind. Besides just the late penalties, it's going to add up and it's going to get frustrating. If you are struggling, talk to me. I don't know there's a problem if I don't know there's a problem. I will allow you to have food and drink in class, but if you make a mess, clean it up. Uh, as long as there are no restrictions on you about restroom use, you can be doing that. Okay? Just reasonably. When you're working in groups, when you're working on things and you're talking with each other, just keep it as an inside voice, keep it down a little bit because with a lot of people talking, it can get very, very loud and everything adds up and everybody's trying to talk over everybody else and that volume keeps going up. Talk reasonably, please. Don't throw things in class. If you need to throw something away, go to the trash can. I've got one in the front of the room. I've got one in the back of the room. I've got recycling in the front and the back of the room. They're easy to get to. Okay? Don't bother the fish. Pretty self-explanatory there. My tardy policy. And to me, by the way, tardy is if you're not in the classroom when the bell stops ringing. You need to be in that room, headed to your seat. Okay? First time, I'm going to give you a verbal warning. Second time, I'm going to email parents and guardians your contacts in PowerSchool. And by the way, each of these are also documented in PowerSchool for administration to see so they know that we've done these things. Okay. The third time that you're tardy, you get a lunch detention. And after that, admin handles it. However that's going to be. That's on them. Okay. If you're not in your assigned seats, and we'll talk about assigned seats here in a few minutes, when I start to take attendance, which is going to be pretty quick after that bell rings, you need to be moving to your seat if you're late. Okay, if you're running close on the time there. If you're not where you're supposed to be, then you're tardy. Okay. Uh, okay. Seating charts. Key thing here. If the people around you will not help you to rise, then perhaps they are trying to keep you down at their level. So typically the second day of class, we'll see how that timing of everything goes for that. But right near the beginning, you'll be allowed to sit where you want to until I have a problem with it. And in that case, I'm probably going to move everybody. Okay? Now, if I know there's some issues, I may try and prevent those ahead of time. But I get to make those changes in there. Now, if we get a new student that comes into the classroom, I may need to tweak things just a little bit. Or if there's some things that come in through admin, stuff like that, where I've got to make some tweaks and changes, that may happen too. Okay. But for the beginning, at least, you get to choose where you sit. If you can't make it through a 45-minute time period and be sitting next to your best friend and not be talking to them the whole time, maybe that's not where you need to sit. Personal responsibility. Okay. Extra credit. If I want to do what I want to do, then I have to do what I have to do. I do not do a lot of extra credit because you have to have done the work to get the extra credit. I'm not going to go through, and if you haven't got an assignment done, I'm not going to give you something else to work on in place of it. You are going to do those assignments. If you're doing the things you're supposed to do, then there will be some extra credit in there. But this isn't, hey, I'm failing. Can you give me some extra credit so I can pass the class? Nope. Do your work. Then we'll talk extra credit. It is extra credit, not credit. Very, very different. One of the ones I do know that I have is what I call the missing assignment extra credit. So you have to make your own decisions to be responsible for those. At the end of each quarter, you can get up to 10 extra credit points if you have 0 missing assignments. For every missing assignment, I will take one of those extra credit points away until it's at 0. Okay, so you don't actually lose points, but you lose extra credit points by not having things turned in. All right. I'm not going to go through this in a lot of depth in here, but this is my plan that I have for every day for the semester of what we're going to go through. Some of them are very, very specific in there of where I have things. Others are a little more vague in that. So some of the short stories that we're getting into. I know that we're doing the outsider, for a novel. We'll be working through that together in class in there. And like I have, what we're doing each day, I've got a plan on how we're getting to that. I've got a unit that I'm putting together for that. So I know where we're headed. So I have all the exact activities on there. I need to be a little bit flexible on those things. Okay. Let's see here. So that gets you through the entire semester in there. There's spring break. We are going to work on an essay after spring break and be working together through those in there. And then there'll be some type of a novel or reading assignment at the end of the semester to finish that up. Okay, so we got short stories, we've got the outsiders, we've got an essay, we've got a writing project. Those are the big things that we're going through this semester. Okay. All right. And then some more writing, another different writing project as well. Spartan tickets, to me, normal is average, so refuse to be just enough in there. So Spartan tickets are rewards for students who go above and beyond, do some great things, helping others out, whatever that might look like. I can't explain it because then it's not going above and beyond. It's doing expectations. I will say, though, that when we do any spirit or dress up days, if you dress up, I will give you a Spartan ticket for each day that you dress up. All right. My late work policy. This is an important thing. Very, very important for you to understand. Okay? If you turn an assignment in on time, and I do almost everything through Google Classroom so that it's timed, it's very clear when it's turned in. If you get it turned in on time, you get 100% of whatever your earned score is. The instant it's late, up to a week later, 65% is the best that you can get. D. 1 to 2 weeks late, 60%. And after 2 weeks, you'll still get 50%. And once the grading period ends, I don't take anything. Okay? And we'll talk about what that means here in a minute. Okay. So don't be one of those students that says, well, I didn't get it turned in on time. I'm just going to take the zero. Don't do that. Give me things, turn things in, get the most points that you can, even if it's late. Give me stuff to grade, please. Okay. Now, I mentioned after the grading period, oh, and media center visits, we'll talk about those in a little bit here. End of the grading period, to me, is when the final bell dismisses at the last day of the grading period. So at 3:30, that last day of the grading period, I don't take any more late assignments. Unless you made some arrangement with me. That's it. Okay? And that's when I start calculating that extra credit stuff as well. Right. Now, an important thing to understand, because this is going to affect some of your grades. If you are absent the day of an assignment, I'm going to immediately put in a 0 and then in Power School, and I'm going to mark it as missing and as absent. So if I run a missing assignment report, it tells me then, and it will tell you those things that are missing that you haven't got done yet. But when you turn it in, I also know that you were absent that day. And to be aware of that it's not going to be on time, but we've got some flexibility because of the absence policy that we have. Okay? But in this way, you know exactly where you stand, or your child knows exactly where they stand if they don't turn the assignment in. We don't get to the end of the quarter and go, oh, they're missing 10 assignments. Let me throw in those zeros, and your grade plummets. You'll know exactly where it is. And then it's an individual choice, an individual responsibility to turn things in or to accept where your grade is from that. All right, book projects. There'll be 2 novels covered during the semester. We'll talk about those when we get to them. We're going to work on the projects in class and work through all that together in there. Media center visits will be going up about every 2.5 weeks to check things out. We do silent reading to start the class, so students will be expected to be reading during that time. And then when we come back from there, there'll be a thing in Google Classroom, them just to say what they did while we were at the media center. And there's some points right there for that. I do optional weekly check-ins that are posted in Google Classroom. They'll be posted every Monday morning. They're due by Friday at midnight of that week. You can tell me what was going on. You can respond or not. I love reading them and being able to respond and know what's going on with students' lives, but you don't have to do that. It has nothing to do with your grade. It's an opportunity for us to connect and communicate that way. Okay? If you're having a rough day, I do have some emotional support stuffed animals back there that you can get. If a student has one of those, I will check in with you or with that student and find out, hey, what's going on? Anything you want to tell me? And I will not call on them to respond on anything during class, but the student is still responsible for participating, for listening, and being aware of what's going on in any assignments that we do in that. Okay? If that becomes a habit, we're going to have a different discussion. Okay? But those are available for you. Working in the hallway, probably not a lot of that because we need to make sure you're staying there, you're staying focused, and you're getting that first semester credit here during the spring semester. Okay? Depending on what's going on, I may have an opportunity. I work and help the Indiana Library Federation for their Rosie Book Awards and may get some feedback from you on those. We'll see timing and things and how everything works out for that. Don't plagiarize. Okay? Setting standards should not be an attack on a person or a group. It should be an attack on mediocrity. Okay? I have an expectation that you do your work. You do your own work. Okay? So plagiarism is defined in there. I won't go into details here, but you can read through that and see what's going on. I will talk another time about my generative AI policy and how that works. I teach how to use it ethically, and I believe that AI is here to stay, and there are some ways that it should be taught and utilized within the classroom. But it's going to be very, very specific of how that does. The basic view of that is generating initial ideas, doing some research for things, doing your grammar check, spell check, but not writing it or rewriting it for you, but doing some checks or generating ideas. I've got a separate video that goes into details on that. Okay. All right. I saw this quote a few years ago, and I thought it was a really, really good one. It says, if you're a good writer, you don't need AI. I don't totally agree with that. But if you're a bad writer and use AI, I will know. It doesn't sound like you. There's a lot of phrasings and things, and there's some key characteristics that you could pick up on AI. Um, all those things. And I do multiple checks in that if I have questions. Okay. If you need help, stop trying to do it on your own. If you need help, ask me for help. That's what I'm here for, is to help you in any way possible that I'm available to do ethically, right? But I try and do whatever I can in class, but if you need some more, you've got to talk to me about that. So I'm usually here about 7 o'clock in the morning. I usually stay till about 4:30, depending on what's going on with things and my son's basketball games and practices, stuff like that. Um, my prep period is second period right before this class. So if that's an opportunity to come down, we can talk about that during impact. Now, some of those times may be limited because I also coach the English academic team and I also coach the speech and debate team. And this spring semester is our competition time. So I have to work all those around in there. But if you need help, ask. We'll figure out a time to make that work to help you. So that's the overall view of my syllabus. Hopefully that was useful for you. If you have questions, please talk to me about that, and let's have a great semester and get everybody through these things.